In the bone-chilling cold of the Barents Sea, where icebergs drift like forgotten ghost ships, a crimson army is silently marching across the ocean floor. They carry no bombs or guns, only claws like the Grim Reaper's scythe, and a will to survive stronger than any other on Earth. This is the red king crab, once hailed as the red gold of the Arctic, now the most ruthless invader of these frigid waters. A single 20-pound crab can fetch $50 at a high-end restaurant. One fishing season can bring in over $1 billion for Norway. But behind this prosperity lies a dying ocean. Hundreds of millions of dollars in losses for American fishermen, billions of seafloor creatures wiped out, and an Arctic ecosystem silently collapsing. Would you dare take another bite of that sweet crab meat, knowing that every crack of a shell inflicts a new wound upon the ocean? Now, let's dive deep to the bottom of the Barents Sea. There are no warm, welcoming lights here, only an eerie, haunting blue. Beneath your feet is not a red carpet, but a graveyard of shattered shells and torn-apart sea stars. A deathly silence hangs in the water. The culprit behind this desolate scene is none other than the king crab, a species brought here from the Pacific by man. Is this creature a treasure or a catastrophe? And how did its journey from a bold scientific experiment to an ecological menace unfold? Our story begins in the laboratories of the Soviet Union's VNIRO Research Institute in the 1960s. Soviet scientists and fishery officials had a grand ambition: to turn the barren northern seas into a biological gold mine. They looked to the Far East, where the Pacific Ocean gifted the Kamchatka Peninsula with an extraordinary creature, the red king crab. It was massive, delicious, and held immense economic value. A question was posed: why should the Pacific be the only one to enjoy this gift?
Approaching the waterline! Watch the current!
3,700 miles is ambitious.
A team of Soviet biologists was tasked with a near-impossible mission: to move the king crab over 3,700 miles by sea, from Kamchatka to the Barents Sea. It was the gamble of the century. Thousands of crabs, unwilling prisoners of human ambition, were transported on specialized ships with seawater tanks. Many of the early trips failed. The creatures, accustomed to the pressure and salt water of the deep ocean, couldn't survive the journey. Countless crabs perished. But the scientists didn't give up. They believed they were on a mission for the people. Finally, between 1961 and 1975, after years of persistent effort, over 1.5 million larvae, 10,000 juveniles, and 2,600 adult crabs were released into the cold waters of Kola Bay near Murmansk. At that moment, No one could have imagined they weren't just releasing a new resource, but unleashing a force that would change the ocean forever. Historians today look back and call it a reckless gamble, an unprecedented intervention in nature. At first, everything was quiet. But on the seafloor, an army was being born. Once they set foot in this promised land, their millions of years of survival instincts kicked in. To marine biologists, the king crab is a biological war machine. Its shell isn't just calcium armor, it's a mobile fortress, so tough that even the most ferocious Arctic predators, like the Greenland shark or whales, rarely succeed in an attack. It wields two giant claws, one massive crusher for smashing the toughest prey, and a smaller, more dexterous one for tearing flesh and bringing it to its mouth. But don't mistake them for simple brutes. Along their 10 legs are thousands of super-sensitive bristles, the equivalent of a bloodhound's nose, that can detect over 400 molecular scents in the sand. They can smell prey from 10 feet away and dig a foot deep into the sand in just 10 seconds. It's a perfect combination of brute force and lethal sophistication. Their hunger is insatiable. They are opportunistic omnivores. Anything in their path can become a meal. Clams, snails, sea stars, sea urchins, marine worms, and even the eggs of other fish. They scour the seabed, turning diverse ecosystems into underwater deserts. But their deadliest weapon isn't their claws, it's their reproductive power. A single female can release up to 400,000 to 500,000 larvae in one season. Multiply that by millions of females. This isn't reproduction, it's a demographic explosion. The tiny larvae drift on ocean currents, traveling hundreds of miles, spreading their dominion to new waters. They are a relentless, colossal cloning machine. Their resilience is just as extraordinary. If a crab loses a leg in battle, the wound seals itself almost instantly to stop the bleeding. Then a new leg bud will emerge, and after a few molts, the limb will be fully regenerated. When facing rare natural predators like the wolffish, whose jaws can crush bone, the king crab's armor often holds strong. They are the immortal warriors of the ocean. Scientists have discovered something even more alarming. In experiments simulating future conditions, they found that crab larvae can survive in much warmer temperatures than expected. Adult crabs can withstand the crushing pressure at depths of over 3,000 feet. What does this mean? It means there are no barriers to stop them. The deep sea? No problem. A warming ocean due to climate change? That might just help them expand their territory even faster. Experts have had to grimly admit, they are not only conquering the present, but they are also equipped to conquer the future. From that small initial group, the king crab army quickly took over Russian waters, then crossed the invisible border on the ocean floor into Norway. They marched silently along the Scandinavian coast, an unstoppable invasion. In the Barents Sea, the war had gone regional. And here's where the real paradox begins. For the Barents ecosystem, they are a nightmare. But for humans, they are a gold mine. To understand this paradox, let's step aboard a king crab fishing vessel in the Bering Sea, Alaska, home to one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. Here, tough as nails fishermen face building-sized waves and a cold so brutal it can freeze and shatter metal. They work 20-hour days in blizzards, on decks slick with ice. Each steel crab pot, weighing between 600 and 800 pounds, is a gamble with death as it's dropped and hauled. One small mistake, one slip, and the frigid ocean will claim you in less than 2 minutes. And what do they risk their lives for? For the moment a pot breaks the surface, heavy with bright red crabs. A full pot can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. A successful fishing season can be worth $1 billion to the industry, a figure that can secure a family's future and lift them out of the worries of everyday expenses. To them, the king crab is not an invader. It is a blessing, the red gold gifted by the sea. From the deck of the boat, the crabs begin their journey to your dinner plate. They are sent to massive processing plants, an industrial assembly line moving at lightning speed, cooked, chilled, packaged, and flash frozen. Within days, they are all over the world. This industry provides thousands of jobs, from fishermen to factory workers, truck drivers, and exporters. It is the economic lifeblood of many coastal communities. But for every dollar earned from the king crab, another industry pays the price. This is the dark side of the story, the part fine dining guests rarely hear. Ask the fishermen who have spent their lives catching Alaska's native snow crab, a smaller, gentler species. Some days, their fleets return with empty pots. Their familiar fishing grounds are now eerily quiet. While climate change and warming waters are the primary culprits, the fiercely competitive king crab contributes to the problem, fighting for the same food and space as its smaller cousin. A silent war is being waged on the seafloor, and the outcome is uncertain. Fishery economists are starting to calculate a different price. Not the market price of king crab, but the cost of the loss. The decline of commercial fish species whose eggs are eaten by the crabs. The losses amount to millions of dollars each year, a festering wound in the U.S. fishing economy. That's not to mention the enormous sums the government spends to research, monitor, and try to control this invasive species. And who can put a price on the loss of biodiversity? A loss that can never be recovered. Humans created this out-of-control invader, and now we face a thorny question. What do we do about it? The answer is not simple. In Norway, they've adopted a strange, two-faced policy that reveals the problem's complexity. In the country's south, where the native ecosystem is especially fragile, the government encourages the eradication of king crabs at all costs. They are considered a pest. But in the north, where the industry has become too big to fail, they are managed as a sustainable resource. Quotas are set, and egg-bearing females are protected. In other words, they are simultaneously trying to kill them and cultivate them. A perfect paradox. In Alaska, scientists manage fishing quotas and study the populations. But is it a fight against windmills when their opponent is so powerful and extraordinarily adaptable? Half a century ago, humans released them into the sea, hoping for a prosperous future. Today, they are reshaping both ecosystems and economies in ways no one could have foreseen. Their story is a tale of human ambition and the unintended consequences of tampering with nature.
Approaching the waterline!
They are proof that one creature can be both a godsend and a curse. When you look at those bright red crab legs on your plate, remember the story behind them. The story of brave fishermen battling storms, of scientists scrambling for answers, of native species fighting for survival, and of a colossal army silently marching across the Barents seabed. The final question isn't just about what we gain and what we lose. It is, who is really in control here? The answer probably doesn't lie at the bottom of the sea, but in how we choose to write the next chapter of this story. And our journey to explore the complex and fascinating stories of the ocean and the relationship between humanity and nature has only just begun. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to follow our next story.